This is Joycey
and Blake,
and welcome to Savagely Scaled. Yeah, in this episode, we're going to be recapping the World Fitness Project. Tour or stop number 1 for the World Fitness Project in Indianapolis happened on the weekend of May 9th, 10th, and 11th. So we're going to be just taking an in-depth look at the workouts, the athletes, and the results of that first tour. So let's get into it.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right, guys. So as I previously mentioned, tour stop number 1 for the World Fitness Project is complete. It did take place in Indianapolis, and it was on the weekend of my birthday, May 9th, 10th, and 11th for the pros. So again, as a reminder, the pros are pretty much the individuals who are signed and again have pro cards. And these are pretty much the top athletes that you recognize, right? Like, of course, we have people such as, give me a second.
I know like, Justin Medeiros was out there,
Alex
out there,
Danny Brandon,
Alex Kazan, Ariel Lohman, a lot of them who are also doing the, the games.
That's right.
And I know there were some who are not doing WFP to focus on the game, some who are. And I'm like, this is a very tricky thing because if you get injured at doing regionals or something and you're doing WFP, or if you get injured at WFP, like your body's going through a lot for both of them. And it's funny to see like who's at the top of those and who wasn't. Like some of the bigger names that we see for the games was not at the top. There were some that we did, but there was majority that was like, where were they?
That's a good point. But one of my favorites was there. So that's why I was really excited to see her. Just because Dana Brandon always kicks butt. But let's go into it a little bit. As we mentioned, the schedule was very jam-packed. They did have a lot of like pre-show discussions, which I thought was very nice before they jumped into kind of like the workouts and everything.
Because you said, didn't Katrin and Annie do it?
That's right. So they were pretty much leading all of the discussions. They had like a morning breakup where they kind of talked about it before everything started. And then at the end of the World Fitness Project tour, they kind of had like a recap again where they touched base on all that stuff. So I was like, we're big fans of Annie and Katrin. So to me, I was like, that's really cool.
And I think it's like also different from what we see at what CrossFit is doing because they're very male driven with their commentators.
Yeah, that's true.
They just started having women commentating. They do have women who are usually on the floor, but it is very like more of a male prospect who tend to put that. And then a lot of times when I'm like, that's not even that person's name. Which we did see WFP did do a couple of things where you wouldn't see in the shot and they'd be talking about somebody and you're like, but look at the person who actually is doing it.
Right. That's a good point. So I do love that. They did have Seth Page and Derek Force also kind of commentating along with them, but regardless, it was nice to see those two women up there. So it was exciting things there. They also had a meet and greet with Gabby Magala, which I thought was really cool.
Which is nice for her because we were talking about how she's going through a lot of stuff right now. So it's nice to have like a meet and greet with some of these athletes who aren't participating, but they're still there and they can see that they have fans and they have people who want to meet them. Like that's also a really good aspect of mental health for the athlete.
Right. And I know we had previously talked about like how athletes kind of speak to not having opportunities beyond just going to the games and not having events throughout the year to make money and things like that. So it's nice, like you said, to see that they're providing these opportunities for these athletes to do something beyond just being on the competition floor.
Yeah.
So let's jump in. So for Friday, which was the first day of the competition, they did have, again, a pre-show discussion with Annie and Katrin. And they also had like an Empower workout with Annie and Katrin where they were kind of jumping in and coaching.
Oh my gosh, I would have loved that.
It was pretty cool. And they kind of released a little video on like what it was like for them. And they kind of spoke to, you know, kind of their lives now as kind of, I guess you could say retirees and just kind of focusing.
Yeah, because they're focusing on different things. They're really focusing on women's health and like after pregnancy, a big thing for that. Now that Katrin is also announced that she is pregnant.
So exciting.
Which I love that because I started CrossFit back in the day and they would always be like, oh, look, so-and-so's back and they have the baby that they were pregnant with, supporting dad who's doing it, supporting dad who's doing it, supporting the male fiance, and you just see the woman who's there with the baby and how it has switched. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. We should support our men as well. But it's nice to see that there's women who are coming back from having children and proceeding to the games, women who are now making a brand out of it and realizing that our bodies are different and we lift differently. Aspects are different for some of us, not all of us. But it's nice. I would have loved to be like, I love you.
I know. I was like, damn, we should go on that one. That would have been a good one. I mean, they're our biggest fans and we feel like we're kind of their twins in a sense, but
they're our biggest fans?
No, they should be. We're their biggest fans.
I was like, girl, you know something I don't know?
That'd be cool though. I mean, right? Power couples for sure. But kind of jumping into it after kind of the whole, I guess, Annie and Katrin's start, they jumped into workout 1. And let me read that out to you. So workout 1 is a 24-minute cap. It is 5 rounds for time of the following: a 600-meter run, 6 ring muscle ups, 6 snatches at 115 for women, 165 for men. And that's for the pro. And then, of course, they also have a challenger division, which was 100 pounds for women and 145 for men. Of course, Danny Brandon did win that event at 18 minutes and 2 seconds. I think Zion got second and Lowen got third. And then, of course, the Jeffrey Adler was the first place for the men's at 15:37, which is nuts. Followed by Hatfield and then Crouch. So no surprise, but way to set the bar high, right? With Danny Brandon at the top and Jeffrey Adler.
It is. Yeah. But I know Laura Horvath was in this also, but I know ring muscle ups still is not her
strong suit.
No, it's always her weakness.
Tell me about it, girl. Not even a possibility for me.
Because that's why I was like, wait a minute. When I was reading some of these things, I was like, Laura Horvath was there?
She was.
Where was she?
Not very high up, let me tell you, girl. Because she wasn't she didn't even.
But
we'll talk about it a little bit sooner.
But what I was reading about this, and I still have a moment in my notes, thinking out loud, I was like, oh, so the pros have their card, the pro challengers, and then the challengers battle out to earn points through the season. And so these points carry on. So to me, it's like a games throughout the whole technically half a year, where the games is in 4 days you earn those points. That's technically true. And I was like, oh, I still don't get most of it. But I do get this part.
I do. I know. Same here. I was like, so they have to qualify for this, and then they got to be the top 10, and then so it's definitely confusing, and it is the first year of the WFP, so I feel like we're all learning along with it.
Yeah.
But regardless, the workouts were a lot of fun and I had a really good time looking at them. So let's jump into workout number 2, which also happened on Friday. This one was also for time. It did have a 10-minute time cap, pretty aggressive. And it involved 8-6-4-2, I guess, ladder of sandbag cleans between rounds, 30 GHD sit-ups, and a 100-foot handstand walk. In terms of the weight, for the pros, it was 150 for women, 200 for men. For the challenger division, it was 100 for women, 150 for men. Challenger seems kind of fun, man. I feel like
Challenger
maybe I could hang in there.
Because I was like, I mean,
it's like RX and then RX Plus. Look at that jump though, from 100 pounds to 150 for pro.
Which is funny because back in the day when I started CrossFit, RX was RX. That was the best. RX Plus was intermediate. And then you have scaled. So now when we do HWPO and they're like RX Plus is
higher than RX.
And I was like, I mean, that makes sense because you're plus. But I'm like, back in the day,
we didn't even have that.
We had RX Plus under RX.
Right.
Because I always had in my notes, I did the RX Plus numbers. But this was years ago, eons ago.
Well, I mean,
and they always had, it was RX Plus, scaled 1, scaled 2.
Oh.
And it was eons ago.
Sense because
and I was like, I liked that.
I'm like, that makes more sense.
But I do like we follow HWPO and they give you an RX, they give you an intermediate 1, intermediate 2, and they give you a scaling option for a lot of it. But then they throw an RX plus for like over the top. And I do like how it says RX plus because you're doing above RX in that sense. But I know CrossFit back in the day was like RX is RX.
I know. Yeah. That's why I kind of like that. Like it's either RX or you're not. Like there's no like.
There's no plus. There's no minus.
There's no gray area. But I think it also just speaks to, and you could tell me because you've been longer in CrossFit, but like the caliber and the extent of like how much it has evolved in terms of like the weight, the exercise, like it's
insane because I used to think like snatches at 85 were
a lot
heavy or 105 were heavy and you just had to do like 5 of them. And I was like, oh my God, that's impossible.
Now the bar is ridiculously high. It's insane.
Especially when they would do snatch ladders and speed snatch ladders or finding your heaviest and things like that. I'm like,
the dumbbells too, like I think they switched from like 35 to like now it's like for women it's getting to 50 pretty much. And I'm like, what is happening? And then you look at the early videos with like Annie and she was barely doing like, what was it, a ring muscle up and could barely make it, and that was like one of the first games, and I was like, see, that's where I'm at. That feels more my caliber. Now it's like, I don't know, the bar's just ridiculously high.
It always is, because I think back then, those athletes had full-time jobs. There's still some that have really full-time jobs and can only work out like for an hour a day. And they do make it to the games. There's a couple of them. Wild. I think like Sydney Neal has like a big, huge full-time job that takes up most of her time. So she doesn't get in as much, but she's still qualified for the games and still pushes. There's people who have been teachers and things like that. But you carry on to now this athlete that is a pro, and I know how WFP says pro, but when you think of pro athletes or professional athletes, what do they do all day? They work all day. They have little spurts of, okay, this week we're focusing on this, on your weakness of that, or now we're doing running, we're doing endurance of this, we're doing all this. We have all this time. Kind of like how Dave does, right? You know, or Haley does. It's just that they put in that much of work and then they have these side jobs or things that they can do to kind of supplement their time. So we've transitioned into, these are people who are getting paid to do these like big checks to be these athletes, to be on the top, to where it was a hobby and something that people loved and it stood for this and they started growing. So, I mean, change is always good. Sometimes change for average people is not, because you're like, I'm never going to be that way unless I have X, Y, and Z and the time.
Right. Hashtag goals.
That's why I said, honey, 65 years old. I'm okay going to the games at 65.
We'll
if
make it happen.
Maintain my body how it is now, I can make it.
Well, we'll have to ask our body that. 30, I mean, it sounds good, but
I got 30 more years. 29 30 more years.
Yeah. Well, let's hope our body thinks the same. It's like back, ankle.
But yeah, going back to this about
workout two.
Workout 2 seemed fun to me until you threw the 30 GHD sit-ups in between because of your posterior chain and everything. And then you have handstand walks on top of that.
Ouch.
And a sandbag. Yeah, that's rough.
I thought Brandon was going to win this one. She got second, but because of that handstand walk and everything. I was going
to say she has stuff before the handstand walk that can slow her down.
And it did, man. It did. It did.
Yep. But who won that one?
It was Lowen at 6:54, I think.
See, gymnast. I mean, she's on the shorter side. I have no chance. Danielle Brandon.
Yeah, she is.
And she's strong. I mean, her brand is strong like mom.
Yeah, I think that's what, again, staying at the top. She got third in the previous workout and she stayed on the top with this one. So at that point, it was between Brandon and Lowen. So it was interesting to be like, okay, they're setting the bar. They're at the top. And then we had Raptus at third. And then for the men, we had Crouch as top, and then Maleros. I think I pronounced that right. Is it Maleros? Yeah.
Yeah, I just say Gee.
Gee. There you go. Let's go with Gee. And then Pepper as third. So...
Which is like when you think of Crouch is very well versed with like heavy movement and handstand. So I was like, okay, that makes
Those
sense.
sandbag cleans,
Pepper's like, he's still very young and just trying to get at it with, which on a side note, like I was on my Instagram and this girl was like doing this little dance and had like words above her head, you know, like when you kids watch the reels and set it up. And she was like, my husband's a pro CrossFit athlete and all this stuff, and talking about how they moved, and she was supposed to be a nurse and all these things, and she wants to go into baking. And I was like, who is this girl married to? And it said Dallin Pepper. And I was like, that's right, because I think they got married when like they were 19, 20, 18 to 20.
What?
Young.
Damn.
So he's young.
Yes.
And seeing him grow, him and Hopper grow, because they came in pretty similar.
I like
from
Hopper.
what I was watching. So they have grown very steadily. I just know like when Hopper first came in, they're like, this one's going to be the one who transitions into what Matt Frazier is going to be. Yeah. Or it was.
Because Matt Frazier took him under his wing too for a while.
He did, but I was like, he's not though. He's
I mean, he tried.
he's himself. And I feel like that was during the time when Haley was out there, Mal O'Brien was out there, and Dallin had come on, Jason Hopper had come on, and then all these commentators and all these people kept putting a lot of pressure on these kids or young adults. And you just started seeing like when they weren't hitting those expectations, what people were saying. And it was like, I'm sorry. First of all, do they look like Matt Frazier? Do they look like Tia Toomey? No, they look like themselves. And that's how they got here, by working hard and doing what their body can do. Everybody has a weakness besides Matt Frazier. So we have to deal with that. We can't just be like, they're going to be the next Matt Frazier. They're going to be the next Tia Toomey.
I wish he would come back. It was amazing to watch.
He was. But at times I was like, there's no competition.
There is. There was nothing.
Sad.
Yeah.
And so
he was just demolishing everybody to the point where it's like, who's going to come and question the man?
And I think they were like, oh, these guys would. And it's like, they might not though.
I'm like, not a chance.
So
all time GOAT.
Yeah.
Sorry, but yeah, he's ultimate. But I don't know.
But you see on the men's how it gets shaken up so much.
It does,
and sometimes the women does not.
I mean, look at Tia, man. She's smoking.
But I do like Alexis Raptis. Alexis Raptis is another one who's been in the CrossFit name for a long time with teens and then growing up for the adults. And with last year, a lot of big movement with her and placing. And it's just nice to see that too. Yeah,
this is, now that I think about it, now that you're calling that out, it's like the first wave or generation of those athletes coming after the OGs. So we're starting to see them kind of trickle in. And yeah, the bar's really high, man. The bar's really high.
What happened the next day, which on a side note, I was like, remember how we were talking about how WFP and using the word WOD? And I was like, oh, they use Indianapolis Pro 3, Indianapolis Pro 4 to name their workoutes. And I was like, because they're not saying WOD because they can't use it. Because it's a CrossFit thing.
You can't just say workout 1, 2, 3.
I guess you could, but because they're naming it after that and making it something, I was like, okay, you're in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
You say pro whatever. Because I was like, how are they going to word some of these things
Trademark
that they can't? Yeah.
Trademark infringement, man. They're smart. They're smart.
They are.
All right, Saturday, WOD 3, workout 3. This one was an aggressive time cap as well, a 10-minute time cap, 6 rounds for time with 8 pull-ups, 6 chest to bars. Wait.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right. And then 4 bar muscle ups. I think rounds 1 through 4, you would do 8 front squats, and then kind of round 5, I believe, was 6 front squats. And then for round 6, you would do 4 front squats.
Yeah.
In terms of the weight for the women, we were at 170, I believe. And then men was 245. And then you started increasing that amount. It went up to 185 for the second round of front squats and 265 for men. And then lastly, for that last set of 4 front squats, it was 200 pounds for the women and 285 for the men. Ouch. I'm like, that sounds absolutely horrible.
I know, but even when I was reading the challengers, because their round 1 through 4 was 155 and 225. Round 5 was 170 and 245, and round 6 was 185 and 265.
I was like, that.
I mean,
that's like
I could do the 155, but which number would I want? But then you're going 8 pull-ups,
up
6 chest to bars, into bar muscle ups. Where do you hang on to that? What do you do?
You have to,
because those are small reps.
Sounds small, but it does not feel small.
To me, I'd be like, all right, so we are going to do,
I would say you'd have to knock
jumping pull-ups, and chest to bar for my skilling.
Yeah, same here, man. Same here. That's insane. An the weight on this is just, wow.
That one looked fun to me, though, too.
It does look fun, yeah. Just the weight does not.
Oh, my gosh, that would be an arm burner and I can't even talk.
Cap,
I'm
dude.
broken.
A 10-minute cap.
It'd take 10 minutes to figure out if I could do a
Oh man,
I can do too.
That's all I have.
Or I would look at them and be like, did you put the right amount? Because it feels heavier. I'm not doing pro.
No.
Can you make sure?
Girl, no, there's no way. There's
Yeah.
no freaking way. But for placing, we did have, and I might be reading this wrong, Sagafi in first place at 8 minutes and 39.
Oh, Fee Sagafi?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Lowen on second, Gazan third. And then for the men, we had Hatfield.
Okay,
I believe
yeah.
that's how you pronounce it. And then Adler second, and then Sprague in third. Sprague, sorry.
Sprague, don't do that.
But yeah, overall, again, Lowen staying very high up there on the top 3 for the last 3 events. So
You know what's funny is I didn't really know her name until she came back after having a kid.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, I knew her name like in gymnastics and things like that, but there's a couple gymnasts that transferred over. That you're like,
You know, gymnastics really goes a long way. That's all I gotta say.
And what is that other one where you run with the stick? Pole vaulting.
Oh, really?
Because I think Katrin did pole vaulting. She also did gymnastics.
Interesting. Interesting. I would not correlate.
How many people have said that Danielle Brandon did pole vaulting?
She did?
Yeah,
oh, yeah, she did.
Yeah.
In her documentary,
it transfers over to so much.
That's so intriguing to me because you're just sprinting with like a stick.
Well, no, you
like,
have to go. Yeah, that's a lot of gymnastics
a lot of
too.
Thrust and like shaping your body while trying to
and getting your legs strong. I was just like, man, I was in the wrong sport. But I don't like heights. I don't trust myself.
I would know.
I'm not moving it.
This dude breaks. I don't know. Yeah, that's crazy. I don't know if I could carry that.
I also never had that in high school.
We didn't, did we?
I
think we might have, because that's track and field.
It is, but I'm like, how do you get involved with that? You can't just start at 15.
The only thing I did was the triple jump, and that was it.
Wow.
And then, wow. Yeah, it's cool. I loved it. It did mess up my back, though.
I was going to say, that is something that I would just mess up. Be like, I got this. I trip.
Yeah, because we're short, so we don't got that. Well, the leg, extension part. No, it's hard, man. It's pretty hard out there.
Anything that involved running, I was like, no thanks.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel like you would have been a great sprinter.
I probably would have been, but I was like, there's running. No, thank you. Yep.
Yeah, nobody really liked the running
and it's
part.
hot. You guys, I have that Edward Collins skin.
Oh, you're right. I was going to say in your area too, it's probably pretty hot out there.
Yeah, it's as hot as it gets here.
Yeah.
So track and field in the summertime, I'm like, yeah, I pass out from dehydration.
Wait, what did you do in high school? Did you do sports aside from
cheer?
Yeah.
Was
cheer on season all year though?
So my All-Stars one was.
Ah, gotcha. So you were busy all year with that.
And then school wasn't. Mm-hmm. And once I found out how lame school was, not that cheerleading's lame in high school, I just like competition and exceeding my expectations and not going to parties.
That's fair. That's fair.
I wasn't really that cool with that. But
you would have been, I feel.
Oh no, I knew a lot of people in high school. I could
I would
be
have
a
made the team,
chameleon
no
and stuff like
problem.
that. I was on the team. I only did it for 1 year because one of the captains was like,
Blake was too good.
no, yeah. Because we were at a football game and we were defense and the captain was throwing an offense cheer out. And I was like, I'm not doing an offense cheer when we're defense, you guys.
You're like, this is embarrassing.
Yeah. And they're like, you made us look so. I was like, me? You decided to say that we were going to be the offense team. And I'm sorry, we were holding up a big D like defense.
Oh my gosh.
Did you not see that? We did not have a quarterback out there. Did you not notice that?
Oh my God. Coach Blake.
Yeah. And then that's when I was like, you know what? I'll finish out the year. Because I did school cheer in middle school.
Oh.
So I was like, oh, high school is going to be the same.
Mm-hmm.
No. And then they're like, oh, we're starting a competition, All-Stars one. I was like, oh, I like
Sign
that.
me up.
Yep. So that was kind of year round. We got like maybe a month off. And then we had summer camp. And then we had to learn all kinds of stuff. And you'd be broken into teams. Yeah.
You're
Sometimes
busy.
I was on 2 teams at one point. I was coaching 2, on 2. Yeah.
Oh. Wow.
That's why my mom probably liked it. Because she's like, she has no time to get in trouble.
She's like, she's busy.
My senior year, I was like, I'm not gonna cheer. I don't really want to coach anymore either. I just want to have a fun senior year. And she was like, oh no.
She's like, oh snap.
But then I ended up getting 3 jobs. So, and they ended up being like, hey, can you come back and cheer or coach one more year?
Oh.
And then there was one competition, and this is a big, huge tangent. One competition that were like, hey, the girl just got hurt. Can you fill in? Mm-hmm.
No way.
So I filled in. Yeah, you got to do what you got to do. I hope. Yeah, I sure did. And I was like, I hope.
Did you have to learn it all that day or what? Oh my God.
I did.
You're very good at that.
And they're like, you still have your back handspring? And I was like, yeah, I still have it. I don't have it anymore.
I'm like, I want to see it. I want to see it.
I don't trust my body anymore.
Oh, no, I feel you.
I was like, handstands are enough for me.
Well, that's good enough. Like, that's pretty bad.
But yeah, I had to. And I was like, if you guys see that I'm lost on the floor, somebody better tug me.
Oh,
take me where I need to go.
I will do it. I will do it always.
Yeah. But it was fun.
Good times. Good times.
Back to
Hey, we're just speaking truths here. Speaking truths. We might not make it to the pro division, but we can do a handstand over here. So.
We can. I sure can. I can hold it for 1 second.
I cannot hold it for any second, so I can't even handstand. So right. One thing at a time.
Let's go to Indianapolis Pro 4A and 4B.
All right, let's do it. So 4A and 4B. So part A of this workout starts with a 1 rep max jerk in 8 minutes with a 2-minute rest. So I always like myself a good heavy, weightlifting kind of workout. So this is always like a crowd favorite. Part B of this workout was the Echo bike. I think women started at 15, if I'm not correct, in calories.
Yeah.
Or was it 12?
It was 12.
I apologize. It's 12 for women, 15 for men.
Yeah. And it goes 15, 18 for the women, 20 and 25 for the men.
That's right. So it keeps going up. Mm-hmm. And then you add a 50-foot sled push after each round. And you have to complete that in 6 minutes. I think for the pros, the women had a 170-pound sled push and men had a 215 sled push. Heavy, heavy, heavy.
Yeah. So that was another fun one.
I like that one. Yeah.
Yeah, because the Echo bike is very smooth.
Mm-hmm.
It still ticks slower than the assault bike, but it's smooth. It makes you feel like you are doing something with your life when you're really not.
It's all legs, man. And that sled push, ouch.
Yeah, I would have liked a sled pull, but they're frying out your legs for a reason.
I think that's the point.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Campbell got first place in that one for the women. Kringle in second and Gazan in third. And then for the men.
That's a heavy thing. So those women can deal with heavy things.
Can take it.
And again, where's Laura?
That's a wonderful question. I have no idea. But she wasn't in the top 3 for this one.
How'd the men do?
For the men, at first we had Sprague. Yeah. I'm all looking up like, did I get that right? Pepper at number 2 and Hopper at number 3.
That, it makes sense. Those boys like the bike.
The
and all
quads.
3 of them
Hopper's
like
quads.
to be competitive with each other.
Yeah, that's cute.
Like a fun competitiveness.
Right.
Because society keeps wanting to break people apart and be like, oh, they're making fun of you. Oh, they're doing that. Oh, they're trash talking. Sometimes these people want to be friends with each other.
They do.
They're allowed to trash talk and they're allowed to have that
Especially
camaraderie.
the guys.
Like, stop trying to break it.
Yeah.
Just stop.
Guys are pretty.
They are all like similar age, similar things that are going through their life. Like, let them have some fun.
True homies.
Yep.
And then for the last and final day, Sunday, we had the last final 2 workouts. Workout number 5 was a 14-minute time cap, 10 rounds for time. Ooh.
Yeah.
And the workout consists of 1 legless rope climb, 1 regular rope climb, and then a 50-foot yoke carry. The weight was 315 pounds for women. Ouch. And then 445 for men. Holy moly. Yeah.
Break me in half like a Kit Kat bar.
Oof. That's horrible. Yeah, that's a rough one. And then speaking of our girl, she came out of the woodworks for this one and got first place for Horvath on that one at 7 minutes and 48. So she heard you, girl. She heard you and came out of the woodworks.
Like, where are you?
Which is an interesting workout for her to win on this one. She must have been working on her rope climbs or something.
I'm telling you, probably she does better with that, but the yoke carry was probably like the thing that she's like, I got that.
Yeah. And then Gazan at 2nd and Raptus in 3rd. And then for the men, surprise, surprise, our same little man here, Sprague.
Sprig.
God damn it. I'm losing
And he's very tall.
Is he?
Yes, he is.
And then Krenikov, my dude, at number 2. And then Adler at number 3.
See, and that's the other thing. Like, where was Krenikov?
I know.
Where were the Wells sisters?
I guess this was like an OG workout for the Sunday one.
Justin Medeiros?
Dude, for real. That guy did not even come up.
Bro, you shouldn't have switched to rad shoes. Like, oh my God, he has the Nobles. He's supposed to be with Nobles, but he's wearing rad. Who cares?
Yeah. Damn. Ouch.
And is it to say, like, these people are also doing stuff for the games and
That's
trying
true.
to set themselves up smart for the games because they know this is the This is the first live event for WFP. They still have a journey for this too.
Yep.
Because they have the next one is an online qualifier again, and then they get to go to Tour 2. So are they trying to play it smart with what they're doing? Because a lot of these athletes did ask for these things. They were like, oh, we love CrossFit. Is there any way that we can do an off season for teams? And then we could be on teams and then we could do this. And I'm like, please don't do that because there's like, I know the team members are not average people, but I feel more average, like connected with teams when I watch them on CrossFit and at the games because I'm like, well, they got 3 other people and I wish I could do that compared to when I watch the pros where I'm like, I'm never going to make it there.
Right.
So I'm like, why do you got to be pro individual and then go to a team unless you just want to stick with a team? True. Like all those other people who can't go into your shoes but can do that as a team member. Why you want to take that spot? So I like how WFP came in and did that and was like, but we're doing this. So if you want to on this off season and on this season. So I like what they're doing.
It's entertaining to watch too.
Yeah, it was. I know that their views were, or viewing was pleasant. It wasn't like how CrossFit has been doing the last
the streaming was good. I know we complained about the streaming last year for the games.
I know.
Yeah, it was a nightmare. I don't know. But this one quality was fantastic. The breakup of the videos was great. If you guys want to see it on live stream, you can in WFP.com under the tab competition. But just looking through their site and how they posted it, I thought it was well done.
Yeah. Which there were some hiccups about when they were talking to somebody and another person who was like not a high name was the one who won or things like that. And it was like, okay, we still have hiccups in that because we get stuck on names.
So I guess I'm giving them more of a pass.
It is. Well, it's also their first event. So
that's true.
That's good. But yeah, the streaming, for last year for CrossFit for me kind of like it was sad. The games it was sad, but even for like the age divisions And
didn't we have to pay at some point for the last workout or something?
that was like the last couple years for the games.
Gotcha.
And I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of that.
No.
Not a fan of that.
Mm-mm. So, yeah.
So yeah, we have our feelings.
Yeah. What's the last
final workout?
Girl?
Workout number 6, 4 time, an 8-minute cap. All these aggressive caps, man.
I know.
I feel like I would fail. These are all sprint workouts. For this one, it was a 30-calorie row for women, 40 for men, 30 burpees over block, 20 dumbbell thrusters, and a 50-foot double dumbbell overhead walking lunge. For women, it was a 50-pound dumbbell, 70 for men. See, it used to be 35. Now it's 50. That's wild.
Mm-hmm.
And then for challengers, it was 35 for women's and 50 for men. For this one, Campbell took it in first place at 8 minutes and 19. Brandon was second and Gazan was in third. And then for the men, here we go. We have Hatfield's. He got 5:15 for that one. Awesome job. Hopper was at second and Sprigg in third.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, so I remember Maggie coming in and was like, did you see that girl? Her name's something. Mm-hmm. And I was like, you mean Annika Greer? And she's like, maybe not, because she thought it was somebody else too. And then I was like, no, that's Annika Greer. And she heard the name and she's like, oh, it is. Well, anyways, she was doing the lunges with the dumbbells and she threw them down. Mm-hmm. And a lot of days now, in previous settings for CrossFit games and for like regionals or things like that, even for the open now, they've been putting it as a rule that you cannot throw them down because that's a safety hazard.
Etiquette.
Yes.
Also.
And if you do it in the gym, it's not safe. It's not safe for your ankles, for one,
your toes,
or for people around you, or for the gym ground. So if you're like, oh, why is there this big crack in this mat? How gross. Did somebody throw something on the ground that we shouldn't have? Or it's also that you can, ruin the dumbbell.
True.
And I know you're paying for a gym membership, but dumbbells are not cheap. Weights are not cheap.
Yeah.
So when we say like, hey, don't throw the 10 plates. Hey, try and place the dumbbells down. I know it's hard. I get tired in a workout. I want to throw it. Mm-hmm. But she threw it down and she had to start all the way over with her lunges. And she I was going to get second, I believe, second or third.
Rules are rules, man.
And I was like, oh, girl.
That's a bummer.
Mm-hmm. And I think it was stated also like when they're like, yeah, you cannot throw them down. So it's like in the athlete briefing, they had to know that because none of the other girls did it.
Ouch.
So it's like, you need to
be better, aware.
Yep.
You knew better.
You need to be aware in your athlete briefing.
I was going to say we had to watch that a few times because we're like, no way.
Yeah. And
yeah,
of course, they're like talking to somebody else. They're interviewing Lucy Campbell, and you just see Annika in the background. Mm-hmm. And I think when she did it, all of a sudden, one of the commentators was like, oh, and Annika Greer had to go back because something happened with her judge.
Lunges,
yeah. And I was like, yeah, you guys, because she threw it because we saw it in the background of your interview with Lucy Campbell. Mm-hmm. You can interview them and not have the camera on the person you're interviewing.
That's true. Like in sports, right? Like it's true.
And I think they did veer to it once they noticed something was happening and she had to go back.
Oh man, that hurts.
Like to have that and just be like, I'm right there and I'm going to be second.
With the 50-pound dumbbell on each hand. Wait, was it one hand, I wonder?
No, I think it was both.
Yeah, double. Ouch. Mm-hmm. Imagine 100 pounds on those shoulders.
Right?
Oof.
So that's a lot on the row, and then you have burpees, and then you have those thrusters, and then you have the
8 minutes
overhead walking. Oh gosh, I forgot about that.
That's wild.
30-calorie row.
No problem. The burpees, though.
Yeah, for you. I'm like,
row, I've been getting pretty good at, but the burpees and the thrusters, and ugh.
I would look at my judge and be like, I'm time capped.
Yeah, there's no way.
I'd look at them and be like, no
We'd
need
probably
to count
get to
these.
close to the maybe one thruster. We'd probably get to that point.
But like once I have thrusters in my hand, I might as well just do a couple more.
23. Yeah, we'd probably get to the thrusters, I think. But we wouldn't do many.
My hip flexors and my arms would be dead.
With the 50 pounds. I just hate how high it is now. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, there's no hope.
It's like right when you get to the caliber where you're like, okay, cool, I'm getting to RX. Yeah. And then it's like, oh, we're just going to add 20 pounds to what you've been lifting.
Yeah.
Great.
Hey.
Nice. And then I always see like Ethan, for example, grab the 50 pound. And I'm like, that looks way too big for any hand. Any human hand to carry. Like, that's a huge dumbbell.
Imagine my tiny hand.
How, dude? How?
I don't know.
How do you not break your wrist? I don't know. It's wild. It's like, I couldn't even pick it up. Yeah, girl, it's insane. But let's talk about the winners for the competition. Okay. For the men, first place we had Austin Hatfield from the U.S. So all of these men were actually from the U.S. who won for the men's pro. For second place, we had James Sprigg. And then lastly, third place, Jason Happa.
That is good for them.
Right?
Yeah.
We were just talking about the crew, so it's not a bad crew.
Yeah.
And then for the women, we had first place, Alex Kazan from the U.S. Danny Brandon was second. And then Amy Kringle from the U.K. at third.
Nice.
Right. But yeah, it was a fun watch. I thought I had a really good time. And I was just excited to have something else to watch aside from the games because now I have more things and more events. And I was like, this is nice to have something else aside from the games to look forward to.
How I felt when I would watch the regionals and all that stuff.
Right.
Which I know like the Torian Pro and the Sanctionals and stuff are happening or happened this weekend. So to go over that.
That's true. I don't want to say
the Syndicate Crown, sorry.
Right.
And Torian Pro, which I got to see all of them wearing pink and everything. And Tally. Tia's out there.
Yeah,
and it's just nice to see all
with
of them.
With her baby.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, that's one that impresses me all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Homegirl just came back after that baby. Boom, boom, boom. Let's do some high rocks. Let's
That's
win
what
this.
Their bodies are like. If you do, they say, if you are active before your pregnancy, that is running, that is jump roping, that is doing whatever you were doing, dancing, like CrossFitting. They tell you to do it while you are pregnant. They tell you to move the same. Just being pregnant. Does that mean that you need to, like, if you did 10 miles? No, you don't need to do 10 miles. That's the same for CrossFit. Like, if you max out at 150, you don't need to max out at 150. Like, your trimesters are there for a reason to be like, okay, we're going to lower it here. We're going to do this. How does your body feel as well?
Right.
You know, it's a lot of times when they're like, no, you shouldn't be doing anything. And it's like, that's actually going to lead you to other things. But it's also education, talking to your coaches, talking to people, knowing your body, because there are movements that are absolutely, as soon as you know that you're pregnant or that you are trying, you don't do.
Right.
You know, but it is to each their own.
Yeah. But
those women like Cara Saunders, Ariel Lohman, like they continued moving to the best of their body's ability.
Right.
Annie, I'm sure Katryn's going to be working out through hers. So if you're doing that and you're being mindful of your body, it's a healthy situation. True. If you're not being mindful and you're being competitive as if you weren't pregnant, then it's an unhealthy situation.
Right. It's a whole other situation.
Yeah.
No, yeah, that's a good point.
So you can bounce back.
It's possible.
Yeah.
That's how you bounce back.
Hi, chickadee. Oh, you get a cookie.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Joycey, for all that news on the WFP.
That's
what
right.
she usually does when I say the news. But going forward, we will most likely talk about all the other events with it because we really want to see how this plays out, who's really going to win this, because we were going through the names and we saw the Wells sisters were 16th and 17th, like Jessa Medeiros was 6th, Roman was 8th. So there's a lot of people who we deem as top hitters in the games being on the lower end of this. So it's going to be fun to see who really comes out on top after WFP has finalized everything and gone to, what is it, Copenhagen?
I think it is Copenhagen,
yeah. And seeing who actually gets to go out there and win it all. But with that being said, if you feel like this podcast is your swig of pre-workout, please subscribe, follow so you don't miss a episode.
That's right.
Yep.
You got it.
Brain
You're on a roll.
And please like and hit those 5 stars. It really helps us. Leave a comment on Spotify so I can read it and enjoy my day, and then let Joyce enjoy her day when I tell her. You can also leave a review on Apple Podcasts. We'd love to hear that. Or on our YouTube station, which we do have our videos for our monthly check-ins. And we'd love to hear your check-in and what your goal is for each month. Along with that, if you have a PR, a friend has a PR, or you go to the best affiliate in the world, so you think, please reach out to us so then we can shout out your PR or come visit your affiliate and do a walkthrough. We work out and we interview the owners. You can reach us on Instagram by DMing us at Savagely Scaled. You can email us savagelyscaled, 1 at Gmail. All right.
That's right.
And remember, don't be a Karen.
Be a shame.
And keep sharing that love. Until
we meet
at the whiteboard again. Bye.
Bye.